Tonight, we peel back the layers on one of the most enigmatic figures in our dark history, Albert Fish. In this video, we journey into the shadows of his past, unraveling chilling secrets and unsolved mysteries that have haunted investigators for years. From perplexing evidence to eerie coincidences, we're about to expose the twists and turns that have made Albert Fish a name synonymous with intrigue and terror. Grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and join us as we dive deep into the case that's kept everyone guessing. Welcome to Murder We Spoke, where we shift the narrative from the killers to the voices of the victims. That's Rachel, and I'm Matt. Join us as we dive into the crimes of Albert Fish, so stick around, because this case is far from over. So there's Albert Fish. Technically his name... Yeah, right? He's a real ghoulish-looking man.
He looks like a walking skeleton.
He does. I mean, that's him older. There's the younger photo of him.
Still a walking skeleton.
With his, pork pie hat? Whatever kind of hat? Bolo?
His bowl hat.
Bowler hat?
Bowler hat? Yeah.
Anyways, so that's him. Technically, Albert isn't even his name. It's like, if I remember correctly, it was a brother that died. A younger brother.
So he ended up he
just took over the name later on. So his real name is Hamilton Howard Fish.
Hamilton Howard Fish, okay.
He was also known as the Gray Man, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman.
I know him as the Boogeyman.
Yeah, that's how I always knew him. I never realized he had this many names.
I've also heard the Wolf of Wisteria. Wow. I've heard before, but just in passing.
Dang. The only other one I heard of was the Gray Man, so I was surprised by that one, the Brooklyn Vampire, and the Moon Maniac. What crazy names. Yeah. That one sounds like a hero from Marvel.
I don't want to kill anybody, but I do love the nicknames. That's like superhero nicknames. He's not a superhero, villain nickname.
Yeah, he is a super villain. Especially the Gray Man. I think of an alien just coming down and being like, meh.
What? Yeah.
So, Albert Fish... He claims to have murdered around 100 people. Do you know much about Albert Fish?
I do know some things. I've watched certain podcasts about him, but I haven't watched in extent. I know specific details of how he got away with how he got away with.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he's actually one of his crime scenes is located very close to where we live. Some might even say
yeah, it's
where.
wild.
Yeah. It's like where you grew up. It is where you grew up, but that's most I know about him. I know he
kind of bounced around. I didn't realize that he states that he had one victim in 23 states.
Wow.
So that's a significant amount of the country. That's almost half of the country at that. Who knows? At that time, it might have been half of the country because it was early America that he was doing all of this in.
So you can't take it at their word. I'm
no, unfortunately, I feel like he was that crazy.
He might, yeah. I was I wouldn't.
It's possible. I mean, from looking into his background with what he was doing, we'll touch upon that later. But it's oh man, this is crazy. So he had, I'm sure, a lot of people interacted with a lot of people due to his work and whatnot. So, I don't know. It's crazy. It's a possibility. It could be true. It could be false.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Maybe it's in something that we'll touch upon later also, but we'll see. But so far, it's believed that he killed as many as 10 children, unfortunately, though, which is crazy. That's still a lot.
That's still a lot of kids.
Yeah, this guy's crazy. That's the thing that creeps me out about him the most, is just this guy's nuts.
He just looks creepy.
He's creepy
looking. He's a guy that you wouldn't want to approach.
I don't understand how he got kids with him because he's a scary looking monster.
I did hear some things that I'll comment on a little bit later about how he brought kids, or at least one kid, to where he got them to.
I mean, it's the typical
I feel so bad, but also I'm
stranger danger kind of.
Yeah, but he was in we'll get to it. I'll let you explain his backstory.
So, a good chunk of his crimes, his crimes have bounced around. So he was originally born in Washington D.C., but then he relocated to New York. So I was only aware of a couple of locations. I was aware of Washington D.C. I was aware of New York.
Yes.
I'm not sure of where the other 23 states were, but yeah, he did
All
like
23 of them.
Yeah, all of them. All of
All
like the
23.
East Coast, I guess.
Yeah. I guess.
But yeah, he worked as a prostitute.
Okay.
And that's why, that's where he was believed to have committed most of his crimes around.
I mean,
because he was doing, his work.
And you don't really hear a lot about men in
male
are serial
prostitutes.
killers who are male prostitutes. There are some, don't get me wrong, but like it's very rare to hear it. I also did hear he had other issues.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like whether his from what I remember, his parents were like rather either aggressive towards him or...
That's what it seems to be. Like the killers that I've looked into, all of them had abusive childhoods.
Oh yeah.
And that seems to be like
the current...
Yeah, unfortunately, that's like the thing that really like sets people off is having that kind of like violence in their youth.
There is a certain few like you could say like I want to say like Bundy, who they said his parents were
sweet people.
That they were normal people and nothing bad ever happened to him. That's the case of being born a sociopath or being made into a sociopath. Like
nature versus nurture.
I think they both exist in every context. There is a polarity of everything from good to bad. But I think he was made into what he was.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems like for Albert Fish, it seems like he was made to be this kind of person, and it's not like that he was born into being like crazy. I couldn't find anything about him like harming animals or anything like that that would have been indicated.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, again, this was back in really early America, or at least like, I guess like the...
Mid-19th century.
Yeah,
right?
That sounds accurate, yes.
Okay, mid-19th century.
Not like when the Founding Fathers came around.
No, it's not like the powdered
Yeah.
wigs.
Yeah, nope. Wasn't parliamentary, but it was early enough. Industrial. So what he's known for is for unfortunately luring children from their homes, doing terrible things to them. What his weapon of choice was a paddle laced with sharp nails.
Yeah, I heard he also was considered like I think the word is masochist. Like
he was
liked,
masochist.
Like, he would be in the BDSM community.
Yeah.
Currently.
Who knows? Maybe if that was like accepted at that time, maybe it would prevent him from doing this kind of stuff.
I also feel like if it was more open, and maybe he could have got some help, but
yeah, probably.
Then again, back then, all of that was a no area. So.
I mean, it still is like a really touchy area. That's why I don't understand. There shouldn't be like a negative stigma towards therapy because it's really like bettering you and helping you out.
It was because like if you even like were a woman who showed a bit of emotion, you got sent to a mental hospital. So their bar was real low.
Crazy stuff that for like women, it's like if you argued with your husband, you could go to the psych ward.
Your husband could sign you. He signed the book and go send my wife away. And the wife's like, what? And they just take you and throw you in. Like so. I think they're
what crazy
very low.
Yeah, that was horrible times.
Yeah.
So as time went on, his intimate fantasies grew more fiendish and bizarre, often ending in, unaliving, cannibalism. But yeah, he was big, unfortunately, very much into torture, mutilation, and things of that. Using his implements of hell, which is like his paddle, and creating these weird devices and everything.
Like he had a kit.
Pretty much, yeah. He had like a kit that it was like, a doctor bag, except it was all horrible things.
I know he, in a later crime that you'll explain, that he did go there. I heard like maybe once or twice before where he set things up to happen. I know.
And then he only did like weird mutilation stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what this guy has done. So some of his things included a meat cleaver, butcher knife, small handsaw, besides the whole thing with the paddle laced with sharp nails. It's nuts. What did I click on?
Cannibalism.
How did I click on that? Let's go back over here. Oh, I guess that had a link to it. Whoops. There we go, back in there. Move over there. There we go. I always find this interesting with serial killers. So that's what you'll see on the other one, too. As if he was married, and he was. Yeah. Twice.
That's interesting.
So it's like, how does this crazy person find two people?
Masking, bro.
Yeah.
He's just masking. I bet he got married. The girls didn't know who he was. Then they knew who he was. And back then, divorce was not acceptable.
I mean, technically, they did end up divorcing. Yes. The first marriage was arranged, which was really interesting. That's something that's not really, like, common, or at least not that I'm aware of at that time. I mean, sure, you could be like, your parents would be like, oh, this person seems really nice, but it's never like, you're going out with this person.
You're now married to this person. Sorry. I already signed the papers for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you don't know this 12-year-old girl, but you know this 12-year-old girl now.
So, yeah, he was married, had 6 children with his first wife. She left him 1917, running away with another man. So that's also something, you know, I'm sure stuff like that happened, you know,
the whole, I get it.
You know, the swinging kind of thing.
I get it.
And plus, this guy, I think, at that time was starting to be really insane, so I really don't blame her for finding another person that hopefully was sane.
There's no way he wasn't kind of a little bit odd. I mean, I get it. You're in an arranged marriage. You don't want to be there. I get it. I don't get it. What I'm saying is, because I get you're married, you don't know the person's weird.
Yeah,
she left all 6 kids.
I think she took them.
She took 6 kids with her?
Then I think all of them were older at that time, maybe. Okay. That's something that I didn't get a chance to really dive into.
I wonder if she just, like, snuck
6
kids out.
Snuck them in a little bag. Get in my bag.
Out the door. Yeah.
Get in my Santa sack, and I'll drag you away.
Did he have any kids with the second wife?
No, they were married for like a week, as far as I'm aware. I mean, unless something happened where, you know, there's a Jon Snow child out there that they're not aware of.
A week she was probably like, this is not.
Yeah, she's like, this is not my bag, baby. This guy's crazy.
This is not my husband.
No way. But it's wild. I don't know how he was able to find the second person, especially being a prostitute not like there's anything wrong with being a prostitute. But at that time, you think that would have been something that would have been like, that's a little quirky.
Yeah.
Maybe she was a prostitute too. I don't know. But anyway, so this is one of the most notable victims. Unfortunately, her name is Grace Budd.
I've heard about her. This story I know.
Sad. It was really sad, especially when it's like, you know, she was only 10 when she ended up going away with Albert Fish. He told the parents he was going to take her to a party.
They would have what I know about it is that he would go to their house several times, not just the once. He went like 3 or 4 times, became friends with them. He's just a nice, friendly old man.
Yeah.
My niece's daughter is having a birthday party. I could take your daughter to the birthday party, and essentially they had tea together. They went and.
Yep. He took her to Westchester.
Yes.
And then that was kind of like it.
It was Westchester?
If I remember correctly, yes.
Oh, was it? Oh, interesting.
West area.
Okay. That's good to, not good to know, but I
always thought, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, wow, it's nuts. Yeah.
That is interesting.
And then he sent the family a letter explaining, like, what he ended up doing.
Yeah, I know.
Which
I heard about the letter.
Craziest thing ever.
Was that, I forgot if they had 3 kids or this was the only kid.
I think she did, or 2. I think
they had
the family had like 2 or 3. And then like the crazy thing is that the parents weren't like literate, so they had to have like the son read the letter. And so the son had to explain like what was.
And he really, from what I remember, went into detail about what he did. Cover her up. She cried, like stuff like that. Where like I'm like, who? This guy had to be. He had to be crazy, but he also had to be not like in the right mind to write a letter and be like, I'm gonna send this to this specific address. You know, like.
They were trying to get the insanity plea on him.
They will.
If I remember correctly, we'll touch upon that during the court case. But yeah, it didn't end up working out with them, which technically,
yeah.
Hey. But yep, so that is Grace Budd, unfortunately. And he ended up fulfilling one of his things with cannibalism.
I know from what I read, he told her, from what he confessed, he told her to go upstairs, and he stood outside for a while.
He got undressed.
He got undressed outside.
And she was, like, startled by it.
Yeah, and then he came in like that, and nuts. there's not much to say about that other than what disgusting.
Yeah, pretty much. So I didn't have really any of the other victims. There was another victim that was kind of like a boyfriend that he hung out with. That's the one that he ended up, chopping off his member and then kind of like leaving him, and that was kind of like it.
Yeah.
That person ended up, thankfully,
Living,
yeah.
But still, still, I did hear he knew kids within his apartment building too, if that's correct. Like from what I'm trying to remember from what he...
Just around, like wherever he was, he would be like, and he would always go after the kids that he didn't think anybody would really like care about, like if they had handicaps and things like that nature, which is terrible.
Which is nuts that he went after a girl that was completely cared about. Like he was just like, let me break this pattern. Yeah.
It's nuts. But anyways, from that letter that he sent to that family, that's how they ended up capturing him. Because they were able to identify the letter. They're like, oh my God, this guy was in this area. This is where this letter came from and whatnot. And so they were able to scout him out like pronto from that letter.
That's crazy.
And that's how he ended up getting arrested.
So he didn't cover his tracks at all.
No, which is a good thing. Thankfully.
I mean, amazing. But
yeah. But I guess that's how crazy he was. And on top of that, how, he got away with so many other murders that he probably was like, yeah, what's the odds of them catching me, man? No. But then, he confessed to a whole bunch of other murders after being captured and whatnot. But, nope. And that's how they were able to confirm all of these other missing children cases, was after he started, just dishing out all this information from being captured. He's like, yeah, what else do I have to hide?
I'm 82 years old. What else do I have to hide at that point? Yeah.
He was old at that time. So his court hearing, occurred on March 11, 1935. And this is where he was stating that God told him that he had to harm these children. The trial also brought light to all of his crazy fetishes and everything, which included sadism, masochism. He would flagellate himself, so he would whip himself, exhibitionism, voyeurism.
He sounds like that kind of guy. He would be in that community now, but maybe that would have stopped him from doing what he was doing. Maybe, probably not. I go because the cannibalism thing.
That's kind of like. There's a case that's kind of like that with Germany, where that person was.
Was it that guy who was from Japan? It was. Oh. He was in Germany, or was he in France?
But that guy, that one, he was a Japanese man that traveled to Paris.
But the German one was the
German guy was just in Germany. He was
on the site, and the person agreed to be his victim.
That might be another
during it, which is
itself.
Yeah, that'll be another one.
But so many different fetishes that were like, wow. I mean, that's crazy to think that so many of these were known at the time.
Yeah, it's like that so many kids went missing, and they just kind of were like, I don't know, they're poor. It was the sign of the times, I guess, where if it's not an affluent family, it's not really a priority, and it's still not. It's still like that, but to a less forget about them because they're poor.
Yeah,
but we do still now have cases saying well, this white woman is getting way more attention than missing Native Americans who go missing from reserve.
So it's that stuff's crazy. The stuff that happened in Canada and whatnot with that school.
The school. It's certain cases get more attention than other cases do.
Yeah.
And it's now we're starting to see it.
It seems like in the long run, stuff comes out, and then they reopen these investigations, and they've been solving cold cases, it seems like, and then that's where also the internet comes in and helps out too, because sometimes they throw that information out there to the internet, and people are able to look at it in a different light.
And they're CODIS now, so they're able to pin things with DNA that other people have submitted.
Yeah,
so
and 23andMe.
And 23andMe, which is pretty much essentially, CODIS is... You can submit your DNA if you wanted to. Anybody could. You and somebody in your family could be somebody, and they can link that DNA. And even missing people. So they said missing people like Jane Doe and John Doe's, they can link Jane and John Doe's just based on your DNA. They now are able to go, this is this person, do you have anybody in your family who disappeared? Well, here's where their body is. Like, we now can go, the book, like, for example, there's another case called The Boy in the Box. They identified who he was. They finally, this year, I think it was last year, they did identify who he was, and they found him in like the 40s or 50s, and they were able to identify him now, saying like who, like he actually was and what family he belonged to. So now that family is able to, if they want to unbury him and bury him where they want, at least they know where he is. Yeah. They can put a new tombstone saying instead of John Doe or Jane Doe, they can actually put their actual names. And a lot of cases are being solved through CODIS. So if you're interested, you can look them up. You just look up CODIS on Google and it should show up. And we'll put a link in the description too on for that website.
All right, so with all of this stuff that went on with Albert Fish, all of this stuff that came to light during his trial and everything, despite his plea of innocence by reason of insanity, well, God told him to do it. Crazy.
I feel like a lot of people say God told them to do it.
I mean, look at Son of Sam.
Yeah, you're like, that's what the dog told him to do.
Except the devil told him to do it.
And he admitted that it wasn't the dog that told him to do it. He just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyways, the jury believed he was sane enough, which, he did all this crazy stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like
he kind of said he did it, so it's kind of
he already said he did it, and I feel like he was sane enough to keep a roof over his head. So
he was sane enough to have 6 kids.
Yeah.
He was sane enough to get married twice. He was sane enough to convince parents to let them go with the kid.
Manipulate people and everything. So
it's hard to believe that you are you may have you may have an issue, but it's hard to plead insanity when you're not. Like, insanity cases are based on like if you're able to represent, like, I don't even know, like if you're even sanely like being there, like you're consciously there. Like, it's even nowadays it's hard to prove that have an insanity case because you really got to put in, like, you see like 4 or 5 therapists, you see like this whole round of people to just prove that you're insane, and a lot of times they're like, nah, you may have a mental illness, but you're not technically insane, so it's hard to get that case.
But yes, even with the whole plea, found guilty and received the death penalty by means of electrocution.
Good.
So there he is in his electric chair.
Good.
Getting strapped in.
I have zero sympathy for this.
No, I agree, because the stuff that he did is just disgusting.
Yeah, he deserves it.
If I've never seen a monster, like, with any of those death penalties, it's like, dude.
I don't. And for him, like, from even when I was listening to stuff about him, I have no sympathy. This is not saying I have sympathy for anybody. I have more sympathy for the victims than I do.
Oh my God, yeah.
Than I do for the monsters. But this guy had to have zero conscious. Kid, when it comes to kids, it's a different ball field. Like, you're like, now you're taking something that's innocent that knows nothing of cruelty.
Yeah.
And you're gonna not only kill him but dismember. So it's hard for me to feel.
Yeah, any type of sympathy.
Like, even being like, even if he had a shitty childhood, it's like,
yeah, no, you should have gotten help, or like the family should have recognized something,
or the family should have
gotten them help.
Like
the wife,
jerks.
Should have tried getting him help. 2 wives, his children, 6 children should have been like, "You're crazy, Dad." Been like, "You should do something about that."
Yeah.
But,
I'm just glad you got the death.
What happens? Yeah, no, this is one of the times where it definitely feels justifiable. So. He was executed on January 16, 1936 via electric chair in Sing Sing prison.
Yeah.
And Fish helped the executioner position the electrodes on his body, which is crazy. So it's like, okay. Oh my God. Yeah.
He's ready.
And then the craziest thing is, prior to being electrocuted, he's like, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm like, really?
I don't even know why I'm here. I'm like,
like,
execute this man right now. I don't even know, why am I here?
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, you learned nothing.
Like, I don't know if it was just him being so old that he was like dementia, or like, I feel like he was with it enough, but I don't know.
I feel like you have to be with it enough to do
especially from his letter and everything.
Yeah, like, you have to be able, like, to do the things he did. You have to be able to be, like, conscious, like, really conscious. So.
It's nuts. But yep, he received 2 jolts. 2 jolts killed him.
Good.
Prior to his electrocution. He wrote several pages of handwritten notes which were given to his lawyer. And when pressed by the journalists about what was on these letters and everything, the lawyer couldn't even say anything. He refused saying what was in the letters. He said, "I will never show it to anyone. It was the most filthy string of obscenities that I have ever read."
That's... Ugh. I'm actually kind of glad he didn't release it, because it's like, do I want to give this guy the platform to say all this nasty things that he, we already knew he did?
I'm just curious if it explains, where, other people may have been in, these other states, or,
I don't know.
anything
if he
like that.
wasn't lucid towards the end, do you think it actually said anything? I don't know.
I mean, he looked 100, but he was only 65 at the time of his execution.
He was 65?
65, right? He looked older than that, right?
Hold on, click back. That man is a solid
How do I
95 years old.
Yeah, no, he's... Whoops. Whoops.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't click
Okay,
backwards.
it's fine.
Unfortunately.
You look him up with a picture?
Decrepit. He looks very, very old.
92 years old.
Yeah, I would
That
say
is
he
a
lived
grandpa.
92.
That is a grandpa.
But that was
no
65.
Way.
I mean, I don't know if it's just if he was maybe smoking cigarettes, lifestyle,
I think maybe it
or
was
what.
maybe trauma.
Probably
Can age people.
just living with all that guilt and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably the sadomasochism, they did stress his body out
True,
enough that it
true.
aged him. I mean, when they did an x-ray on him, they found over 100 needles in his groin.
Oh yeah, I heard about that, where he would do things to himself too. So it's
nuts.
I don't know, crazy.
It's violent.
Crazy.
But with that was Albert Fish.
Yes, the monster, the boogeyman.
Yeah, good riddance.
Good riddance.
So, if you guys like this episode, please leave a comment about what do you think was written on that letter that Fish gave to his lawyer. Do you think Albert Fish was being honest with stating that, he had one person in each state that he lived in, and he unalived them? Do you agree with the jury's verdict? I do.
Yeah, I do too.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any additional tidbits, throw them in the comments section. That'd be neat.
Always listening.
Heck yeah. Thank you for watching us, and don't forget to be safe out there.